Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the possibility of Alabama wide receiver Devonta Smith falling to the Washington football team at 19, and we'll also talk about the possibility of Landon Collins switching to linebacker after Ron Rivera's recent comments, and we'll also give a quick injury update on him. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so first let's talk about Devonta Smith, and after that we will be talking about Landon Collins. So they finally got some measurements for Devonta Smith, and they were a little bit concerning, not too much, but might cause him to slip a little bit. And it's not really a surprise at all, but he checked in at about 6 feet tall and 166 pounds, which is super light for a wide receiver, especially at 6 feet tall. That's very small. And he wasn't really able to bulk up at all from the end of the season at Alabama. He was listed at 175 and 6'1" this past year, and he's significantly lower than that. I don't think this will have a huge effect on his stock, because I think teams already knew this, and if they were concerned, I don't think this will change much. But I do think there's a small possibility of him possibly dropping all the way to 19, because obviously there's going to be 5 quarterbacks drafted at the very least, in the top 15, probably even before then. So that's 5 quarterbacks. Then you're going to have Kyle Pitts is going to get drafted before Devonta Smith, and I do think that Jamar Chase is going to probably get drafted, either to, probably not the Bengals, but that's a possibility, and also, the Dolphins and other teams. And then after that, you got Jalen Waddle, who I do think is going to get drafted before him, but it is debatable. So then it comes down to really the Eagles. If Devonta Smith doesn't get picked by the Eagles, he might drop a little bit to the Patriots, or even later than that, and the Washington football team might be able to get him at 19. Again, it is a little bit of a stretch, but it's possible, and they could always trade up a few spots. I, again, am not a huge fan of taking a wide receiver in the first round, but when it's an elite prospect like Devonta Smith, I don't have a problem with it, especially, he in a normal year would probably get drafted in the top 10 and still might, but since this class is so stacked at wide receiver, Jamar Chase is one of the best prospects in a while. Jalen Waddle is another elite prospect. Usually there aren't 3 elite prospects that are, amazing wide receiving prospects, in a draft, and there are this year. You look at Devonta Smith this past season, he was the best wide receiver in college football, 117 catches, 1,856 yards, 16 yards per catch, and 23 touchdowns. Absolutely insane. Also a threat, in the punt return game, had a touchdown there as well. He's just an absolute beast, can really do it all. And he did benefit a little bit, not too much, but Jalen Waddle did have more yards than him before he got hurt. But Devonta Smith really started to ball out once Jalen Waddle got hurt, because he got way more targets. But he is so quick and twitchy, has great hands, which I love. And the biggest thing is he is such a good route runner, probably definitely the best route runner in this class, and he's able to get separation off of the DB super quick. So I do, some people are concerned about the size, but I don't think it should be a huge issue. There's been other receivers that have come out of the draft that have still been successful at a small weight, at a lightweight, and there hasn't been really any prospects quite like Devonta Smith that have been this small, so we really don't have a huge sample size. I really like him, and I don't think he's going to be there at 19, but if he's there at 19, man, you make that pick. I know there's some other positions we do need to address, but you put Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, Logan Thomas all on the field at the same time, man, defenses are going to start to get scared, and they're already probably scared, but that would put it over the top. So I don't think he's going to fall to 19, but it's becoming a little bit more likely, especially if the Eagles decide to go DB at 12, or if they decide to go for someone like Micah Parsons at 12, because after that, a lot of the other teams, got the Chargers. They're not going to go receiver. They got 14. You have the Vikings. They're not going to go receiver. Patriots might, but they're likely quarterback. And then after that, the Raiders and Dolphins, who knows if they take receivers. So there is a small possibility that he's there at 19, and I would love that pick. So the next thing is Landon Collins possibly switching to linebacker. And I have not made a video about this, but there's been more and more rumors, and John Keim actually dropped a podcast today saying he wouldn't be extremely surprised if it happened. And this is really what Ron Rivera said the other day. He said Landon Collins was speaking for himself about not wanting to switch to linebacker from safety, not for the organization. So when Landon Collins was on that Instagram Live, he said, I don't want to play linebacker. I'm not playing linebacker. And Rivera said he's not speaking for the organization. He's just speaking for himself. And this could mean nothing, but also, definitely could mean something. And, on John Keim's podcast, he said the Washington football team views Landon Collins' skill set fitting strong safety, big nickel, and that linebacker / outside linebacker role. So they do think he has a skill set to, play linebacker, and it's also way easier to go from back to the front. And, so the transition is a lot easier, and it's not going to be as hard. And, John Keim also mentioned on his podcast that Landon Collins is feeling pretty good and recovering pretty well from his Achilles, better than a lot of people expected. Landon Collins, his skill set definitely fits better, in my opinion, at that linebacker role. Not necessarily a middle linebacker, but maybe a will linebacker. Really good run defender. You look at his stats this past season, really struggled initially, but at, the last couple of games before he got hurt was really playing well. 40 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception. And the past year didn't get an interception with us. His breakout years was in 2016. The big thing is he's come out, a bunch of times, or at least a couple of times, and said he doesn't want to play linebacker. So it probably still going to be hard for them to convince him to play linebacker. But I really think, if he would play linebacker, let's say you put him at linebacker, then you can have him, Cameron Curl on the field at the same time and still get one more linebacker in the draft. But it kind of, makes your need at the linebacker position, it helps it out a little bit, because you're not necessarily going to have to draft, 2 linebackers early, or 1 in like the first and 1 in the third. You could maybe wait until the second round and grab a Jabril Cox, or maybe trade back and get like a Zaven Collins and Jamin Davis. So something interesting right there. I want to hear in the comments down below if you guys would like Landon Collins to switch to linebacker. I think it would help us out a ton, especially, because I just don't see his role right here at strong safety fitting Washington for the future. And, if he plays this year at that strong safety position behind Cameron Curl, maybe even with him for a little bit, depending on what they do, or maybe even big nickel, and it doesn't really work out, well, he's probably going to be gone after this next season. But give him a tryout at linebacker, see how he plays, and maybe he can, remain in Washington for a few more years if he plays good at the linebacker position. One quick thing, I saw, these are some other, weights that were, that came out today. One that concerned me a little bit, not too much, but Zaven Collins is listed at 270. So that's a little bit big. I hope, he's up 11 pounds from his pro day. He is up to 270, which is a lot, especially for a linebacker. So I hope he didn't, lose his quick, his speed and his athleticism putting on that weight. We'll see, but I still would like him in that late first round range if we were, to decide to trade back. So let me know down below in the comments, my first video talking about, Landon Collins at the linebacker position. Didn't talk about it too much, but if you want me to make a whole nother video, I might do that a little bit after the draft. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.